Hashtag Crown Princess. Hashtag Chapter 1 Wrong Marriage. The snow has just stopped, and the streets of Dianqing are still covered with a thin layer of silvery white. Shen Qingyin was sitting in the carriage, holding a heater in her hand and looking at the passing street scene outside the window with a calm expression. She had just returned from recuperating at Consort Temple not far away. She originally wanted to stay for a few more days, but heavy snow closed the mountains and she had to return home early. "Miss, we're here." Maid Huan opened the curtain and helped her out of the carriage. The Shen family is a wealthy family in Dian City, and Mr. Shen, Shen Wen, is an old acquaintance of the Prince of Prince Duan's mansion. As soon as Shen Qingyin stepped into the hall, she saw someone she had never expected, Chen Xiaojun, the eldest young master of Prince Duan's mansion. Chen Xiaojun was wearing a black cloak, and his eagle eyes were staring at her closely, as if he was sizing up a prey that he was sure to win. Shen Qingyin's heart tightened, but she calmly stepped forward to meet Li. Shen Wen coughed lightly and scolded slightly. "Why didn't you notify your family when you came back early?" "My daughter realizes her mistake." Shen Qingyin lowered her head and responded, but in her heart she was thinking about why Chen Xiaojun appeared here. "It turns out that Duan Wangfu is here to propose marriage." The Shen family has 3 daughters, the eldest daughter Shen Shijin, the second daughter Shen Shiyuan, and the third daughter Shen Qingyin. Shen Wenqi asked with a smile, "I wonder, young master, which of Lu's daughters do you like?" Chen Xiaojun's eyes fell on Shen Qingyin, and he said word by word. Xiaojun fell in love with the third lady at first sight and fell in love with her very much. If the third lady marries into the palace, Xiaojun will definitely live up to his expectations in this life. Please ask Mr. Shen to make it happen. As soon as these words came out, Shen Qingyin's face turned pale. She never expected that it would be her that Chen Xiaojun begged for. Shen Wen was also quite surprised. If he wanted to give up Shen Shijin, he should also beg Shen Shiyuan, but it couldn't be Shen Qingyin, a powerless orphan girl. But Chen Xiaojun was determined, and Shen Wen had to follow his wishes and ask the second lady for her opinion. The look in Shen Qingyin's eyes made it clear she didn't want to get married. Shirong is young, and none of her sisters have ever been married. Shirong cannot mess up the order. Shen Qingyin declined politely. Chen Xiaojuan's eyes tightened slightly, and he felt cold. Shen Wen frowned. Everyone wanted such a good marriage, but she refused. "This marriage was agreed upon with the prince when you were young. There is no age limit." Shen Wen made the final decision. Shen Qingyin returned to her small building and stood on the bridge looking at the melting ice in the pond, her delicate face printed in pieces on it. Coral said worriedly, "Miss, has young Master Li seen your flaw?" Shen Qingyin shook her head. "He misunderstood my relationship with Mr. Qingshui, and he wants to use me to contain Mr. Qingshui. Everyone knows that Mr. Qingshui is the master of Shuiyun village and is as wealthy as anyone in the country. When Chen Xiaojun married Shen Qingyin, he accepted Shuiyun village's kindness, and the position of heir apparent was within reach. And Shen Qingyin happens to be the person that Mr. Qingshui wants to repay his kindness to." Hashtag Chapter 2 Both Propose Marriage. The next morning, the news that Chen Xiaojun asked to marry the third daughter of the Shen family spread throughout Dian City. However, on the third day, it was not Prince Duan's mansion who presented the betrothal gift, but Mr. Qingshui of Shuiyun village. Shen Wen looked at the room full of betrothal gifts, which were of priceless gold and jade, and was so shocked that he could not speak. Shen Qingyin also looked shocked. "Dad, my daughter does know Mr. Qingshui, but she didn't expect that Mr. Qingshui would come to propose marriage." She recounted the incident of Shuaiyi rescuing Mr. Qingshui when she was recuperating in Consort Temple, and it was a coincidence and ambiguous. The Shen family members were dubious, so Shen Qingyin showed them their small building. The fine products on display in the building, including dresses and pink dresses, are all from Phoenix Residence, a subsidiary of Shuiyun Village. Lu Qi, the housekeeper of Shueyun Villa, said with a smile. My young master said that if Miss Shirong hasn't decided whether to marry him yet, she can think about it slowly. I will save the betrothal gift first. Just think of it as the young master's infatuation with the young lady. Chun Xiaojun did propose marriage, but he did not give a betrothal gift. Mr. Qing Shui directly sent the betrothal gift. According to the rules, as long as the betrothal gift stays with the Shin family for 1 day, the Shin family is not allowed to marry Shin Qingyin to anyone else. Now, Shenwen was in a dilemma. Shin Qingyin's 2 elder brothers, Shin Xiao and Shin Mo, came back from Kyoto City and were very surprised to hear this. Shin Ma Xiao asked, Then when do you plan to reply to Mr. Qing Shui? Didn't he say that the future is long? Shirong is only 17 years old and doesn't want to get married. Shin Xiao frowned. We would like to keep you for a few more years, but girls always have to get married. Shen Qingyin pursed her lips and smiled. Master Qing Shui is a kind man and treats me very well. He will not force me. But things were far from as simple as she thought. The next day, Mr. Qing Shui ordered someone to send a set of phoenix bathing in fire begonia pearl flowers to the Shin mansion and invited Shin Qingyin to gather at Feng Huang residence. As soon as Shin Qingyin left the house, she met Wang Yunli, the young master of the Wang family. Wang Yunli was a famous playboy in Dian City, and he had been coveting Shin Qingyin for many days. He deliberately pulled off Shin Qingyin's cloak and grabbed her wrist. At this moment, a black shadow passed by, and Wang Yunli was thrown out directly. You dare to touch my woman. You are so ambitious, Chun Xiaojun said coldly. Shin Qingyin's face darkened. Chun Xiaojun dared to say that she was his woman. He did it on purpose. Sure enough, in the evening, rumors began to spread that Shin Qingyin was courting Qin Muchu, not only wanting to marry into Prince Duan's palace, but also being attached to young Master Qing Shui. Shenwen was so angry that he overturned the table, slapped Shin Qingyin in the face, and ordered her to think about her mistakes in the small building without leaving the house. Chapter 3 Marrying into the Wrong Palace. A whole month passed, and the gossip about the 2 men asking for a wife became more and more intense. Prince Duan was furious and asked Chun Xiaojun to give up. But Chun Xiaojun refused to let go. Shin Qingyin was grounded and could only play the piano every day to relieve her boredom. She played the song Shui Yin Ballad, which was taught to her by a young man when she was recuperating in Han's Han Temple. At that time, he was injured by a wild wolf while trying to save her. Later, her mother told her that the boy was dead. She didn't even know his name. Suddenly, a burst of applause fell. Shin Qingyin looked up and saw that it was Qin Xiaojun. Miss Liu, do you want to deny that the person you met at the Phoenix residence in Kyoto City 2 months ago was not you? Qin Xiaojun said coldly. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. The eldest young master is joking again. Shirong has never left Dian City since she was a child. Chun Xiaojun frowned and walked away. The 6th day of June is the Shinong Festival. There are 2 happy events in Dian City today. Chen Jinyuan, the 2nd young master of Prince Duan's mansion, is very happy, and Master Qing Shui of Shueyun Village is getting married. 沈清英穿着一身凤冠霞帔，被珊瑚扶着上了花轿。Mr. Qing Shui wore a golden mask and came to welcome the bride in person. The sedan chair stopped in front of the Shinong Hall, and Shin Qingyin went in to worship the god of agriculture. Another bride was already kneeling in the palace, a young lady from the Wang family who was married to the 2nd young master of Prince Duan. Wang Yanru cried until her eyes were full of tears. Sister, I don't know something. I heard that the 2nd young master has passed away and will die soon. Doesn't this push me into a pit of fire? Shin Qingyin said with relief. If you really can't be happy, you should prepare for the funeral, not the wedding celebration. Wang Yanru wiped away her tears, picked up the ribbon, and covered it with Shin Qingyin. Let's go out together. Shin Qingyin was led and helped onto the sedan chair, and the two wedding parties parted ways. After walking for a long time, Shin Qingyin felt something was wrong. This street scene does not feel like leaving the city, but rather like entering the city. When she opened the curtain and took a look, she suddenly panicked. This was not the sedan chair of Shuiyun village. Such a scheming Wang Yanru, she changed the wrong hijab on purpose. By the time Shin Qingyin reacted, the sedan chair had already stopped at the gate of Prince Duan's mansion. Miss, the palace has arrived. Please get off the sedan. Shin Qingyin had no choice but to get off the sedan. She was led across the brazier by the red satin and then heard a violent cough. Chun Jin Yuan bowed down to heaven and earth. With the first bow, Shin Qingyin's wishful thinking came to nothing. Second obeisance to the high hall. On the second obeisance, she began to plan how to escape. Husband and wife bowed to each other. For the third time, she felt her heart change and bowed first before saying anything else. After worshipping heaven and earth, Shin Qingyin was sent to Qingfeng Yeyuan. She knocked out the dowry maid and was about to escape when the door suddenly opened. Chun Jinyuan walked in. ### chapter for the shock in the bridal chamber. Shin Qingyin reacted very quickly, and a cold flying knife was already pressed against Shin Jinyuan's throat. Chun Jinyuan looked at the fierce-looking bride and thought to himself, this bride is really cute, but the flying knife at the throat the dignified young lady of the Wang family can actually use a hidden weapon? My wife is going to murder her husband? Chun Jinyuan smiled warmly. Shin Qingyin smiled. I am not a young lady from the Wang family, so how can I be called my biological husband? No matter who you are, since you have worshipped heaven and earth, you are my wife. Shin Qingyin let go of the flying knife, sat in front of him, and told the whole story. After hearing this, Qin Jinyuan poured a cup of tea calmly. If Miss wants to leave, please do it yourself. Shin Qingyin frowned. The bride is gone. How will you explain to the prince and the concubine? This marriage was arranged by my mother. My broken body is like a useless person. If anyone marries me, it will be like ruining the rest of their life. If the lady really doesn't agree, just leave. Shin Qingyin's heart sank. This was a man who was not threatening at all. He was as gentle as jade, which inexplicably made people feel pity. Thank you, second young master, and I'll take my leave. As soon as she opened the door, two identical gorgeous women burst in, calling her sister-in-law, which made her confused. These are the twin princesses of Duanwang Mansion, Qin Yaohan and Qin Sihan. When concubine Lu learned that the bride had been changed, she was furious and asked Shin Qingyin's identity. Shin Qingyin knelt on the ground and told the whole story. Concubine Lu thought for a moment and said seriously, Shirum, are you willing to marry Jinyuan? Aunt, Shin Qingyin was shocked. Shirum, being in the royal family is not as good as being a private citizen. Wang Yanru's marriage to the royal family has been reported to the court. If the emperor knows that the person Jinyuan married is not a lady from the Wang family, it will be a crime of deceiving the emperor. Do you want all four families to be held accountable, or do you want to sacrifice yourself and marry Jinyuan? Shin Qingyin was lying on the table with a sad look on her face. Coral frowned and asked, Miss, are we going or staying? Stay, Shin Qingyin said weakly. Maybe this is life. After dinner, Qin Jinyuan returned to Qingfeng Yeyuan. Shin Qingyin was wearing a luxurious phoenix crown and harem, sitting in front of the bed. Chun Jinyuan picked up the weighing beam and hesitated to lift the wedding veil. Shin Qingyin became angry and pulled off the wedding dress. Second young master's hands are sore. Shirom will open it for you. Chun Jinyuan was calm. Thank you, madam, for helping me. The old woman handed over a bowl of longevity noodles. Chun Jinyuan picked some noodles, blew on them, and put them to Shin Qingyin's mouth. Shin Qingyin's face turned red with embarrassment, but she still ate. The old grandma added, after eating the rich and noble five sons' porridge, I wish the young master and the young lady to have a son soon and have both children." When Shen Qingyin heard this, all the porridge in her mouth sprayed onto Chen Jinyuan's face. Why did she give birth to a son so early? This was the first time she and Chen Jinyuan met. What kind of child did she have? Chen Jinyuan grabbed her white and tender hand. "It's okay." It was late at night and there were only 2 people left in the room. Chen Jinyuan poured 2 glasses of wine and handed one to Shen Qingyin. "Madam, the fake show has come to this point. Please complete the last etiquette. After drinking this glass of Hexin wine, you'll be my wife, Chen Jinyuan." Shen Qingyin raised her eyebrows. "Shirom is just a concubine, and the second young master has elevated her. Wang Yanru is my concubine. You are my wife, Chen Jinyuan. You will live up to your expectations in this life." Shen Qingyin took the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. The moment she drank the Hexin wine, she suddenly felt that maybe this sickly husband was not as bad as she thought. Hashtag Chapter 5 Hard Times. Life after marriage is not easy. The water in Prince Duan's mansion is very deep, and several concubines are fighting openly and secretly. They appear harmonious on the surface, but behind their backs there are flashes of swords and swords. Shen Qingyin was walking on thin ice every day. What gave her even more headaches was Chen Xiaojun. "Don't think that since I married Chen Shijin, you and I are so close. Within a month, I, Chen Xiaojun, will definitely marry you." Chen Xiaojun forced her into a corner and gritted his teeth. Shen Qingyin sneered. "Young masterly, this is the palace. Please respect yourself." Chen Xiaojun was very angry and laughed back. "You are my sister-in-law. You are not afraid of me. How can I lose to you?" Shen Qingyin bit his hand hard, and Chen Xiaojun groaned and finally let go. "If you dare to offend me again, I dare to take your life." Chen Xiaojun frowned. "Lu Shirong, who are you?" "Shen Wen's daughter, Shen Qingyin." After saying that, Shen Qingyin walked away with a puff of sleeves. When he returned to Qingfeng Yeyuan, he found Chen Jinyuan lying on the bed, his whole body as hot as a stove. "Coral, go and call the doctor." Shen Qingyin hurriedly wiped his body with warm water. Chen Jinyuan woke up in a daze, saw Shen Qingyin's anxious face, and smiled weakly. "Madam, you are shy." Shen Qingyin glared at him. "It's my first time to serve a man like this, so it's reasonable for me to be shy. On the other hand, my husband, surrounded by us women, still looks leisurely and indifferent. Could it be that he has experienced such scenes many times?" Chen Jinyuan was embarrassed. "My wife is wronged. This is my husband's first experience." After struggling all night, Chen Jinyuan's fever finally subsided. Shen Qingyin lay beside his bed and fell asleep from exhaustion. Chen Jinyuan looked at her sleeping face, and a soft place in his heart was touched. This woman is his wife. Hashtag Chapter 6 Shui Yun's Sudden Change. On this day, when Shen Qingyin returned to Qingfeng Yeyuan, she found that the coral was missing. "Where's the coral?" she asked Lu Yu. Lu Yu hesitated. "Girl Coral said she want to find some incense for you." Shen Qingyin didn't think much about it, but in the evening, Hualu hadn't come back yet. She was about to send someone to look for her, but Coral stumbled back, covered in blood. "Miss, something happened in Shuiyan village." Coral threw herself to the ground. Shen Qingyin's expression suddenly changed. "What happened?" "Someone attacked Shuiyan village at night, burned down all the warehouses, and robbed the silver building. Mr. Qing Shui, he died tragically." Shen Qingyin's vision went dark and she fell to the ground. Shuiyun village was the inheritance left by her adoptive father, Shui Moan. She had been running it for many years as Master Qing Shui, but now it was destroyed. Who did it? Qianlong Castle. Coral gritted his teeth. "They are from Snow Wolf." Shen Qingyin's eyes burst out with overwhelming hatred. "Xuelang, you and I are irreconcilable. She's going to Shuiyan village." But the princess stopped her. Don't go. How can you, the noble princess, go to a place like that? Shen Qingyi knelt on the ground. Mother, Mr. Qingshui is kind to Shirong for saving his life. Please let me see him one last time. The princess was silent for a moment and finally sighed. That's it. Just go ahead. Go back as soon as possible. Shen Qingyin rushed to Shuiyan village overnight. But halfway, she encountered an ambush. When she woke up, she found herself in a strange room with rich ornaments and beautiful decorations. It was obviously a wealthy home. Where's this? She asked the maid. Miss, this is Kyoto City. Kyoto? How did she end up in Kyoto? Who brought me here? The maid lowered her head and did not dare to answer. Shen Qingyin gradually had the answer in her heart. She remembered the figure she saw before she fell into coma. That was Prince Xiao's person. Xiao Zhongtian. #, Chapter 7 King Zhao's Deep Love. Shen Qingyin settled down in Haidang Court. Prince Xiao was very kind to her. He did everything by himself, and he wanted to give her the best things in the world. But Shen Qingyin only has one person in her heart. I want to go back to Dian City. I want to go back to the palace. I want to go home, she said excitedly. Prince Xiao said coldly, You were kidnapped by bandits and your life or death is uncertain. If you come back to Prince Duan's mansion in a month, how will the crown princess consider herself? Shen Qingyin was stunned. Prince Xiao is threatening her. A woman's reputation is more important than her life. If she disappears for a month and then comes back, even if Qin Jinyuan believes her, the rumors from the palace will be enough to drown her. Don't you want to know who destroyed Shuiyan village? Prince Xiao said, It was Snow Wolf. Shen Qingyin clenched her fists. Why did Snow Wolf destroy my Shuiyan village? Qianlong Fort has been bought by the emperor. Shen Qingyin sneered. You mean the emperor asked Snow Wolf to destroy my Shuiyan villa? Exactly. Shen Qingyin fell silent. She stayed in Prince Zhao's mansion, recovering from her injuries while investigating secretly. She asked Jinyue to check, and after checking, she found a fact that shocked her. Snow Wolf's true identity turned out to be the person she was most familiar with. #, Chapter 8 Identity of Snow Wolf. Shen Qingyin stood outside Shirley Pavilion, watching the man wearing the cold iron mask riding towards him. The horse's hooves beat rapidly, obviously in a hurry. She took a deep breath and walked out of the darkness. With a wave of the long whip, Snow Wolf's horse had its front hooves cut off and fell to the ground neighing. Hu! Shuelang drew out his long sword and shouted sternly. Shen Qingyin pulled hard and pulled off the concentric lock from his waist. It was something she hung on his waist with her own hands before he went to Yunqing. Snow Wolf was stunned. Shen Qingyin gently took off her veil, revealing her beautiful face. My husband hides it so deeply. It's so hard for my wife to find him. The face under the Snow Wolf mask was as dark as a cold pool. Shen Qingyin smiled sadly. I don't know whether I should call you Snow Wolf as my wife, or the prince. Qin Jinyuan is Snow Wolf. Her husband is the enemy who destroyed her Shuiyan village. Shirong, I didn't mean to hide this from you. Qin Jinyuan's voice was trembling. Shen Qingyin raised the concentric lock in her hand high. Your beloved wife. How could my husband destroy my Shuiyan village, destroy my Phoenix residence, kill my maid, and make me live in the imperial city? Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. Are you Mr. Qingshui? That's right. Shen Qingyin said coldly, I always have. Shuiyan Villa is mine. Phoenix residence is mine, and I am Mr. Qingshui. The two stood opposite each other, with an invisible abyss between them. I know it was wrong of me to hide it from you, but why did you destroy my Shuiyan Villa? Do you know that it is the only thing my adoptive father left to me? Qin Jinyuan took a step forward. Shirom, I didn't know you were Qingshui. If I knew, How could I bear to hurt you at all? Shen Qingyin threw the concentric locks into the air, and with a sweep of the long whip, the two concentric locks were smashed into pieces. We are each our own masters. You are loyal to the emperor, and I am loyal to Prince Xiao. From now on, we will never be sworn in. Hashtag Chapter 9 Robbery. Shen Qingyin returned to Prince Zhao's mansion and locked herself in a room without eating or drinking. Coral was so anxious that she said, "Miss, please don't do this. You are still pregnant." Shen Qingyin suddenly raised her head. "What did you say?" You are pregnant. The doctor just diagnosed you. It's been 2 months. Shen Qingyin was stunned. She was actually pregnant with Chen Jinyuan's child. The man who destroyed her Shuiyun village, the snow wolf that she hated so much, actually had his flesh and blood in her belly. "Miss, do you want to keep this child?" Shen Qingyin caressed her flat belly, a complicated light flashing in her eyes. "Leave." She wanted revenge, but the child was innocent. Besides, this is her first child. Shen Qingyin wiped away her tears and began to plan her revenge. "Coral, go tell Jinhua that I am going to rob Muyuqi and Xuelan of 3 batches of jade." "What, miss? Are you going to rob Xuelan's goods?" "That's right." Shen Qingyin's eyes flashed with a fierce light. "If he destroys our Shuiyun villa, I will cut off his financial path." Shen Qingyin made precise arrangements, divided into 3 groups, and started at the same time. She personally led people to rob Muyuqi's goods, Hualu to rob Xuelan's goods, and Xiaowang's elite to rob the escort agency's goods. All 3 batches of goods were obtained and shipped to the warehouse of Jusfang. Shen Qingyin stood in the warehouse, looking at the mountains of jade, and smiled coldly. "Chen Jinyuan, this is just the beginning." Hashtag Chapter 10 The Truth Comes Out. Shen Qingyin finished robbing the goods and prepared to leave Kyoto. Outside Shirley Pavilion, she met Chen Jinyuan again. The two stood facing each other, and Shen Qingyin said coldly, "What? The prince is here to arrest me?" Chen Jinyuan took a step forward. "Shirong, I know you hate me, but we have something to talk about." "There's nothing to say." Shen Qingyin turned to leave. Chen Jinyuan suddenly said, "I know how your mother died." Shen Qingyin turned around suddenly. "What did you say?" "Your mother's death was caused by the current queen, Ling Xuehan. She was your mother's love rival, and she poisoned your mother for the sake of the queen's position." Shen Qingyin's legs softened, and she fell to the ground. She always thought her mother's death was an accident, but she didn't expect it to be murder. Chen Jinyuan knelt down and held her hand. "Shirong, I know you want revenge. I can help you." "Help me?" Shen Qingyin sneered. "You're loyal to the emperor, and I am loyal to Prince Xiao. How can you help me?" Chen Jinyuan looked at her seriously. "I can help you kill Ling Xuehan." Shen Qingyin was stunned. "If you are willing to believe me, follow me back to Dian City. Together, we can avenge my mother-in-law." Shen Qingyin looked at his sincere eyes, and something soft in her heart was touched. "Why should I trust you?" Chen Jinyuan took out a piece of letterhead from his arms. "This is evidence that Ling Xuehan personally wrote a warrant to Muyuqi, asking her to send someone to Hanshan Temple to assassinate your mother." Shen Qingyin took the letter and opened it. As expected, Ling Xuehan's handwriting was written on it. "Now, do you believe me?" Shen Qingyin clutched the letter tightly, tears falling from her eyes. "Okay, I'll go back to Dian City with you." Hashtag Chapter 11 Join Forces for Revenge. When Shen Qingyin returned to Dian City, the first thing she did was to find Prince Xiao. "Ling Xuehan is the murderer of my mother, and I want her to pay the price." Prince Xiao was silent for a moment. "Are you sure?" "I have evidence." Shen Qingyin put the letter on the table. Prince Xiao picked up the letter and looked at it. "What do you want to do?" "I want you to help me bring down Ling Xuehan." Prince Xiao nodded. "Okay." The two began to join forces to plan. King Xiao placed people in the court to collect evidence of Ling Xuehan's crime. Shen Qingyin secretly contacted forces from various places through the trade routes of Jisfang. 3 months later, evidence of Ling Xuehan's corruption, bending the law, and forming cliques for personal gain was presented to the imperial court. The emperor was furious, and after the decree was invalidated, Ling Xuehan was thrown into the cold palace. The prince was also implicated and demoted to a commoner. Shen Qingyin stood outside the palace gate, watching Ling Xuehan being taken away, but her heart was not as happy as she had imagined. Her mother was already dead. Even if Ling Xuehan died 10,000 times, she could not get her mother's life back. Chen Jinyuan walked up to her and gently held her hand. My mother-in-law's revenge has finally been avenged. Shen Qingyin looked sideways at him, suddenly feeling very tired. I want to go home, she whispered. Chen Jinyuan smiled softly. I will accompany you back. Hashtag Chapter 12 Flowers Bloom Together. Half a year later, Shen Qingyin's belly was already very big. She was lying on the bed, sweating profusely. Try hard. Princess, try hard, the midwife encouraged at the side. Chen Jinyuan was anxious outside the door, wanting to rush in. Shirong, you must hold on. There was a baby cry, and the midwife said happily, Congratulations to the prince, congratulations to the prince. You are a little prince. As soon as he finished speaking, there was another cry. Oh my God, there's another lady. Twins. Chen Jinyuan almost jumped with excitement. He rushed into the delivery room and looked at the weak Shen Qingyin, feeling extremely distressed. Madam, thank you for your hard work. Shen Qingyin smiled weakly. Look at our child. Chen Jinyuan picked up 2 children. One looked very much like Shen Qingyin, and the other looked very much like him. Shirong, thank you. Shen Qingyin held Chen Jinyuan's hand, her eyes full of happiness. All the grudges and hatreds disappeared at this moment. She has a complete family, a husband who loves her, and lovely children. That's enough. Outside the window, the sun is just right, and the flowers are blooming.